A Senate hearing was conducted to deliberate the proposed suspension of academic program for the next school year, aimed at prioritizing the expanded National Literacy and Numeracy Initiative. The proposal seeks to temporarily shift the focus of schools towards improving foundational skills in reading, writing, and mathematics, addressing significant learning gaps worsened by the pandemic. Proponents believe that their targeted approach will boost student proficiency, while critics worry about the potential effects of other academic subjects. Lawmakers are expected to reach a decision in the coming weeks as a debate continues.
Given intensive review programs in preparation for the March 14, second week of March start of PISA. So that's the three-stage process for PISA from everybody 7, 8, 9, 10 integration of lessons with PISA-like items or OECD samples down to 1.6 million students that are target participants of PISA, down to around 150 to 180 schools that will be sampled in PISA, and then down to 7,500 to 8,000 students that will participate in PISA. In terms of the literacy and numeracy, because we know that there are students that have not grasped basic literacy and numeracy, even in those higher levels. So we plan to give them the Phil-ERI test for reading and the RMA assessment for mathematics. And we're currently finalizing the tools for that. So only those that we will identify based on the assessments that need intervention will be part of the literacy and numeracy program for grades 7, 8, 9, 10.
Thank you, Yusek. May I have an additional follow-up question? So, ma'am, what happens to the rest of the schools and the rest of our students who will not participate in the PISA? That's a majority of our high schools and majority of our high school students, because they're not part of the succeeding stages anymore. So what happens to them? While we have a small percentage of our schools and our students getting ready, being taught to the test, let's admit it, then what happens to the skills and competencies of the majority of our students who will not be participating there? So that's one po. The second is, are there provisions for training of high school teachers to do remedial math instruction, quote unquote, because Professor Oligario does not like the term remedial, and remedial reading instruction? Because what I've personally experienced is many high school teachers just complaining and blaming the elementary school teachers for passing the students on, and the burden of teaching them to the high school teachers. And the high school teachers, if they're really BSE, Bachelor of Secondary Education majors, have not been trained to teach beginning reading. But there are high school students who are non-readers and are just beginning readers. You have high school students who cannot even do basic addition. And many of our high school teachers are not trained to do reading remediation, and not trained as well to do math remediation. And complementary to that would be, again, using the ABC Plus model, access to quality materials that will be used for such intervention programs.
Go ahead, Yusek.
Mr. Chair, what happens to those students who are not participating in the PISA science and the literacy and numeracy program? Then they need to be continued to be taught by our teachers, and we trust that our teachers will do their best to do the job. And it's also in our policy that when they find students that need help, they need to provide remediation or intervention program. Okay, so those things should happen in schools. Okay, I agreed with everything that was said, and I think we also agree that because of the 5-6 years learning losses, this is not something that we're going to remedy in 8 weeks or in 1 year. It might take us 10 years to 20 years to be able to fully, for our students to fully be there at grade level ready. There are so many factors that affect learning loss. Actually, Mr. Chair, it's not just the pandemic, because even before the pandemic, there was already learning loss. So there's so much that we need to work on, okay, so that our Filipino learners can recover or can be at grade level ready. Thank you.
Siguro lang ako, I remember when we were discussing yung PISA results. Diba, tinitake ko natin yung tests na yan to see where we are, right? And then, hindi maganda yung resulta. So, nandun na ba tayo dun sa proseso on how do we reboot the whole curriculum? Kasi parang, ang mangyayari lang ho ngayon, we're just preparing for the tests, right? For students taking the test. But we're not really there yet in addressing the problem that was raised because of the PISA results. Di ba ho? Like we'll be spending money just to prepare for the test, but we're not really, parang hindi pa ho masyado na pag-uusapan yung solution dun sa problema dun sa resulta ng PISA. And for me, hindi solution yung tuwing magte-test, maghahanda tayo to get good grades, diba? Good scores. Kasi a big portion of our students, sila yung naiiwan. So, meron na ba yung na-incorporate na ba natin yung what needs to be done to cure itong PISA results? And for me, hindi cure yung we'll just get ready. It's parang short-term solution lang.
Yusek, do you have any?
Yes, ma'am. That's a short-term solution and only focused on PISA. But that can also be a source of national pride, when students perform, and students also feel better because that means that they can do it. That could inspire other students also. But in the Department of Education,
diba lumalabas dun sa parang I don't know kung sino yung resource person. Parang sinasabi niya kasi diba the way yung test dun sa PISA, they incorporate it dun sa life experiences, right? That's how they craft the question. So, technically, the way yung mga teachers natin, in a way, should learn how to teach that way, right? Yung application in our daily lives. Are we going towards that direction?
Yes, Your Honor. Our National Educators Academy of the Philippines is providing professional development programs for teachers to empower them on teaching strategies that could help address the needs of our students. In addition to this, Your Honor, the Secretary has just articulated his 5-priority agenda moving forward. One is on teacher welfare, because that's very important. They are the frontliners in this recovery program. And then supplies, the resources, classrooms, learning environment. The bullying was mentioned earlier. So we also need to address that. The quality of learning outcomes, that's where teaching comes in.
Diba ko like yung last PISA, meron dun mga best practices eh. Lalo na dun sa mga last mile school na in spite of the difficulties, hindi okay na ho yung Makati. Yung last mile school yung sobrang nakaka-proud, diba? Kasi kahit hindi sila, baka ibang student doon, first time na nakakita ng computer, wala silang internet. So, di ba parang for me, the goal is how do we multiply itong mga best practices na naging resulta nung intervention for taking the tests in PISA. Na hindi lang siya parang gagawin lang natin kasi may test. Hindi ba dapat mas maganda? Gagawin natin yung interventions na yan as part of the whole program.
Mr. Chair, we're strengthening, ma'am, our Learner Rights Protection Office to address bullying in schools. Of course, we're working on classrooms, infrastructure, but there's one thing that we're doing in terms of teaching. We have started to implement what we call, a reiteration of our learning action cells, which we call collaborative expertise sessions. Because recent research shows that the one that makes the most impact to learning outcomes is when teachers collaborate with each other, when they believe in all their hearts that they can make a difference.
In fact, di ba, dun sa PISA results, yung na-highlight din yung importance ng mga magulang, na yung the mere fact that you asked your child pag uwi niya sa bahay na anong kumusta na yung klase mo or anong natutunan mo, may impact dun sa resulta ng exam dun sa PISA. Yung mga little things that akala natin walang epekto dun sa learning ng ating mga anak, may significant pala yun.
Mr. Chair, actually, ma'am, maglalabas po kami ng mga advocacy materials tungkol sa parental engagement. Yung mga bits na para maintindihan ng mga magulang that they need to support their kids. Ask them questions about school, how they are performing, their difficulties. Maglalabas po kami soon, no? This week daw po. Siya po kasi in charge of it. Maglalabas po kami ng advocacy materials following the insights that we gained from PISA results.
Yusek Gina, my suggestion and the suggestion of the committee to move forward is to look at the entire program, no? To include the National Learning Recovery Program and its components. Now we're introducing this new 8-week recovery/intensification program. And we're also looking at, of course, the biggest reform that we have undertaken in recent memory is the Matatag curriculum, which is to reduce the number of competencies and also to focus on critical thinking. So looking at the entire gamut, especially focusing on the National Learning Recovery, just submit to the committee a cohesive plan, no? Also timetable on how to implement all of this so that we will be guided accordingly, as well as the implementation of the various components of the National Learning Recovery Program. I know that the National Learning Recovery have subcomponents, diba? Like for example, the National Learning Camp, nakita natin yan, and we need to tweak that program. The National Reading Program, National Mathematics Program, National Science and Technology Program. So all of this, to be honest, what I understood in the past was this will be implemented ASAP or this year, no? But I understand that you're waiting for the Matatag curriculum to be rolled out in order to make this part and make this in line with the Matatag curriculum. That's what I understand. Tama ba my understanding? That's the reason why we're not implementing the National Math and National Reading Program.
Mr. Chair, we were done with the draft, but then we needed to recalibrate following the feedback that we got from Catch-Up Fridays, about Catch-Up Fridays.
Okay.
Because Catch-Up Fridays was supposed to be part of the National Reading
Program.
Okay. But all the feedback that we got, we really need to sit down again and polish the proposal. The other thing, Mr. Chair, is we looked at the ARAL bill.
Yes.
So that we're getting ready also to implement that
Right.
ARAL bill. So we had to put all of these things together
Correct.
so that we don't keep repeating or we don't keep amending our policies.
Correct. And that's what our resource persons were saying, that it's also not healthy and not productive to keep on changing, especially you're talking to 900,000 teachers, no? Communicating a program to 900,000 teachers, very complicated, no? So I agree with that. But then again, from a policy standpoint, especially from a budgeting standpoint, we need to see the entire picture and how cohesive all of these programs will come into play when you implement it. So we'll just submit to us that plan. And we also understand that budget is being requested for this program. So we also want to understand this 4 billion pesos for the 8-week program. How will it form part of the National Learning Recovery Program budget this coming 2025? No? So we want to understand that also. Where's the intersection? For example, the printing of materials, the training of teachers, where's the intersection to that effect? And again, no, I support. I know I can. After the long discussion, I can see the end goal. The end goal is walang batang hindi makakabasa, walang batang hindi na makakapagbilang. When they enter grade 1, enter grade 2, enter grade 3, we want to make sure that this child will be able to read, will be able to count, and will be able to finish the grade level outstandingly, no, at the high grade mark, so that when that child moves to the next grade level, grade ready na siya, no. So that's the end goal. So I can see that goal, and I support that. No, obviously all of us support that because we want the child to be successful. But we just need to look at it from a macro, from a bigger point of view, and also from a policy point of view. So just submit to the committee that those requests and suggestions. Any more, Senator Binay? Any more comments? And we suggest we thank Senator Binay for her very important interjections and also very important suggestions, as well as the concepts that she brought out. And we thank all the resource persons for their suggestions and comments as well. At the end of the day, we're doing this for our learners. No? Di naman para sa atin to. We're doing this for our learners. And we want our learners to succeed. No? It pains everyone to see that 91% learning poverty. No? That's not something that we should be proud of and will never be proud of. And that's the end goal here. No? That's why we support the programs of DepEd, but we just want to make sure that the budgets being allocated is well spent and will translate to positive learner outcomes. So, and we thank Yusek Gina for her candidness and for her participation, and we thank the DepEd team for joining us today. So with that, we'll suspend the hearing for now, subject to, of course, the submission of DepEd on those requirements. And thank you very much for everyone's participation. This hearing is hereby suspended. Maraming salamat po.